Your parents, teachers, and society lied to you when they told you life should be fair, easy, and comfortable, because that programming has turned you into someone who breaks under pressure instead of someone who thrives in it. The most successful people in history weren't the ones who had it easy. They were the ones who had it so hard that they had no choice but to become unstoppable forces of nature. While you're complaining about your circumstances and waiting for life to get easier, others are using those same types of challenges as training equipment to build the mental, emotional, and spiritual muscle that separates champions from quitters. The harsh reality is that your comfort zone isn't protecting you. It's imprisoning you in a life far smaller than what you're capable of living. There is a piece of coal somewhere deep in the earth. Black, dirty, worthless to most people who see it. But that same coal, under the right pressure, under the right heat, under the right circumstances, becomes a diamond. The hardest substance known to man, the most valuable gem on earth. The difference between coal and diamond is not the material. They are both carbon. The difference is what they went through. When I was a young man growing up in the Bahamas, I used to watch an old blacksmith named Winston work his magic. Every morning I would see him light his forge, and the flames would dance higher than my head. He would take a piece of ordinary metal, cold and shapeless, and thrust it into that fire. The metal would glow red hot, then white hot. Then Winston would pull it out and begin to hammer it. Bang, 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 over and over again. The metal would cool, and he would thrust it back into the fire. More heat, more hammering, more pressure. I asked him one day, Winston, why do you keep putting that metal through so much pain? He stopped his hammering, looked at me with eyes that had seen decades of this process, and said, young man, if I do not put this metal through the fire, it will never become strong enough to hold up a building. If I do not hammer it, it will break under pressure. What I am doing to this metal is not punishment, it is preparation. That day, I learned one of the most important lessons of my life. What breaks ordinary people makes extraordinary people stronger. The very thing that destroys the weak creates the strong. The same storm that sinks one ship lifts another to its destination. The difference is not the storm. The difference is what the ship is made of and how it responds to the pressure. You see, there is a principle operating in this universe that most people never understand. Hard times do not come to destroy you. They come to develop you. Pressure does not come to break you. It comes to make you. The challenges you are facing right now are not accidents. They are appointments. They are not random. They are purposeful. They are designed to transform you from who you are into who you are supposed to become. Let me tell you about Elena Rodriguez. In 2008, when the world's economy collapsed like a house of cards, Elena was working as a manager at a large restaurant chain. She had been there for 12 years, had 2 young children, and thought her job was secure. Then one Tuesday morning, she walked into work and found a note on her desk. The restaurant was closing, effective immediately. No warning, no severance pay, just gone. Elena could have done what many people do when hard times hit. She could have blamed the economy. She could have blamed her former employer. She could have applied for unemployment and waited for someone else to rescue her. But Elena understood something that most people miss. She understood that hard times are not meant to be endured. They are meant to be used. Elena had always been good at cooking. Friends and family constantly told her she should start her own catering business. But when times were good, when her paycheck was steady, she never had the courage to take the risk. It was only when she lost everything that she found the strength to build something new. She started in her kitchen with a $50 loan from her sister. She made food for one small office party, then another, then another. Elena was not just cooking food, she was cooking up a future. She was transforming her pain into her purpose. Within 5 years, Elena Rodriguez had built a catering empire that employed over 200 people and generated millions in revenue. But here is what I want you to understand. Elena did not succeed despite her hard times. She succeeded because of her hard times. The pressure of losing her job forced her to tap into potential she never knew she had. The fear of not being able to provide for her children drove her to work harder than she had ever worked before. The uncertainty of her situation made her more creative, more resourceful, more determined than she had ever been when times were easy. This is the truth that will set you free. Your comfort zone is not your friend. Your comfort zone is your enemy. Your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Your comfort zone is where potential gets buried alive. When life is easy, when everything is going smoothly, when there are no challenges, you become soft, you become weak, you become complacent. You settle for less than you are capable of achieving. But when hard times come, when pressure mounts, when everything seems to be falling apart, that is when you discover who you really are. That is when you find strength you never knew you had. That is when you develop skills you never knew you possessed. That is when you become the person you were always meant to be. The blacksmith's fire does not burn the metal to hurt it. The fire burns to purify it, to strengthen it, to prepare it for its purpose. The pressure of the hammer does not fall to destroy the metal. The hammer falls to shape it, to mold it, to create something beautiful and useful from something ordinary and shapeless. You are in the blacksmith's shop right now.
The fire you feel is not meant to consume you. It is meant to transform you. The pressure you are under is not meant to crush you. It is meant to create you. The hard times you are going through are not meant to defeat you. They are meant to develop you into the champion you were born to be. Stop running from the fire. Stop avoiding the pressure. Stop complaining about the hard times. Start understanding that what you are going through is not your punishment. It is your preparation. You are not being destroyed. You are being developed. You are not being broken down. You are being built up. You are in the process of becoming something greater than you have ever been before. The coal does not choose to become a diamond. The diamond emerges when the coal surrenders to the process. Your breakthrough is not coming despite your breakdown. Your breakthrough is coming because of your breakdown. Hard times do not build ordinary people. Hard times build monsters. And you, my friend, are about to become the monster that your challenges were designed to create.
You know, there is a story that changed my entire understanding of struggle. A man found a butterfly cocoon hanging from a tree branch. Day after day, he watched as the butterfly inside fought to break free. The struggle was intense. The butterfly would push and push, making tiny cracks in the cocoon, but progress was painfully slow. The man felt sorry for the creature. He thought he was being kind when he took out a small knife and carefully cut open the cocoon to help the butterfly escape. The butterfly emerged immediately, but something was terribly wrong. Its wings were shriveled and weak. Its body was swollen and heavy. The butterfly tried to fly, but could only crawl on the ground. Within hours, it died. What the man did not understand was that the struggle to break free from the cocoon was not torture for the butterfly. It was training. The pressure of squeezing through that tiny opening was what forced fluid from the butterfly's body into its wings, making them strong enough for flight. By removing the struggle, the man had actually killed the very thing he was trying to save. This is the tragedy I see happening all around us today. We live in a generation that believes struggle is the enemy. We think hardship is a mistake. We believe that if we are going through tough times, something has gone wrong. But I am here to tell you that the opposite is true. Easy times create weak people, and weak people create hard times. Hard times create strong people, and strong people create easy times. This is the cycle of life, and you cannot escape it. When I study the lives of great men and women throughout history, I find one common thread. They all went through what I call the laboratory of legends. They all faced seasons of testing that seemed impossible to survive. They all endured pressure that would have broken ordinary people, but they did not break. They bent, they stretched, they groaned under the weight, but they did not break. And when the pressure was over, they had become something new, something powerful, something extraordinary. Let me tell you about Thomas Kim. In 1985, Thomas arrived in America from South Korea with $50 in his pocket and a heart full of dreams. He could barely speak English. He had no connections, no family, no safety net. What he did have was something more valuable than money. He had hunger, not just physical hunger. Though there were many nights when he went to bed without eating, he had hunger for something better. Thomas worked 3 jobs. In the morning, he cleaned office buildings. In the afternoon, he worked at a gas station. At night, he studied English and computer programming by the light of a single bulb in a tiny basement apartment that he shared with 5 other immigrants. His hands were constantly dirty from cleaning. His back ached from long hours of standing. His eyes burned from studying late into the night. Many people told Thomas to give up. They said America was not the land of opportunity for people like him. They said he should be realistic about his limitations. They said he should be grateful for whatever small success he could achieve. But Thomas understood something they did not. He understood that his struggle was not his enemy. His struggle was his education. Every night of studying when he was exhausted was building his discipline. Every hour of working when others were sleeping was building his work ethic. Every day of facing rejection and discrimination was building his resilience. Every moment of feeling like he did not belong was building his determination to prove that he did. After 7 years of this laboratory experience, Thomas had learned enough to start his own small computer repair business. He worked out of his apartment, fixing computers for local businesses. The business grew slowly at first, then faster, then explosively. Today, Thomas Kim employs over 3,000 people in his technology company. He has created more jobs than the number of people who once told him he would never amount to anything. But here is what I want you to catch. Thomas did not become successful in spite of his hard times. Thomas became successful because of his hard times. The same pressure that would have crushed a weaker person created strength in Thomas. The same obstacles that would have stopped someone else became stepping stones for Thomas. The same storm that sinks one ship carries another to its destination. This is the fundamental truth about adversity. Adversity does not build character. Adversity reveals character. The character was always there. The potential was always there. The strength was always there. But it took pressure to bring it to the surface. It took hard times to force it out of hiding. It took struggle to transform it from potential into reality. You see, there are 2 types of people in this world.
There are victims and there are victors. Victims look at their circumstances and say, why is this happening to me? Victors look at their circumstances and say, what is this trying to teach me? Victims focus on what they have lost. Victors focus on what they can gain. Victims see problems. Victors see opportunities. The difference between a victim and a victor is not what happens to them. Bad things happen to both. Good things happen to both. The difference is how they respond to what happens to them. The difference is their perspective. The difference is their mindset. The difference is their understanding of what hard times are really for. When you understand that hard times are your training ground, everything changes. When you understand that pressure is your preparation, everything changes. When you understand that struggle is your strength building program, everything changes. You stop trying to avoid challenges and start embracing them. You stop running from difficulty and start running toward it. You stop asking why this is happening and start asking what this is preparing you for. The butterfly that struggles out of its cocoon develops the strength it needs to fly. The butterfly that is helped out of its cocoon never develops that strength and dies. The same principle applies to you. The struggles you want someone to rescue you from are the very struggles that are developing the strength you need for your destiny. The challenges you want someone to remove are the very challenges that are preparing you for your purpose. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop looking for easy paths. Stop looking for someone to cut open your cocoon. The struggle is not your enemy. The struggle is your teacher. The struggle is your trainer. The struggle is your preparation for the flight of your life. Every push against the walls of your limitation is building the muscle you need to break through. Every moment of pressure is creating the strength you need to soar. You are not in hard times by accident. You are in hard times by appointment. You are not struggling because you are weak. You are struggling because you are being made strong. You are not going through hell because you are condemned. You are going through hell because you are being prepared for heaven on earth. Your current struggle is not your permanent condition. Your current struggle is your temporary preparation for your permanent transformation.
When you walk into any gymnasium in the world, you will see people doing something that seems completely insane. They are voluntarily putting their bodies under stress. They are lifting heavy weights that cause their muscles to strain and burn. They are running until their lungs feel like they are on fire. They are pushing themselves until sweat pours down their faces and their bodies scream for them to stop. And what is remarkable is that they pay money for this experience. They actually pay for the privilege of putting themselves through controlled suffering. Why do they do this? Because they understand a principle that transforms everything. They understand that muscles only grow under resistance. They understand that strength only develops under pressure. They understand that if you want to become stronger tomorrow, you must stress your muscles today. No resistance, no growth, no pressure, no progress, no pain, no gain. The same principle that builds physical muscles, builds mental muscles, emotional muscles, and spiritual muscles. The resistance you face in life is not trying to stop you. The resistance is trying to strengthen you. The pressure you feel is not trying to crush you. The pressure is trying to create you. The opposition you encounter is not trying to defeat you. The opposition is trying to develop you. Let me tell you about Jessica Thompson. Jessica was born with only one arm. When she was 5 years old, her parents took her to the local swimming pool for the first time. While other children splashed and played effortlessly in the water, Jessica struggled. She could not swim like the other children. She could not move through the water with the same grace and speed. The water, which seemed to welcome everyone else, seemed to resist her at every turn. Most parents would have pulled their child out of the water and looked for easier activities. Most children would have given up and found something else to do. But Jessica and her parents understood something powerful. They understood that what made swimming harder for Jessica was the very thing that could make her stronger than everyone else. Jessica began to train. Every day after school, she was at the pool. While other children were watching television or playing games, Jessica was pushing herself through the water. The resistance that made swimming difficult for her was also building muscles that other swimmers never had to develop. She had to work twice as hard to move half as fast. But that extra work was creating extraordinary strength. Her one arm had to do the work of two. Her core muscles had to compensate for her missing limb. Her mind had to calculate angles and timing that came naturally to others. Every stroke was a struggle, but every struggle was making her more powerful. What started as a disadvantage was becoming her greatest advantage. By the time Jessica was in high school, she was swimming faster than most people with two arms. By the time she reached college, she was breaking records. By the time she turned 25, Jessica Thompson had become a Paralympic world champion, holding multiple world records in swimming. The thing that everyone thought would limit her became the thing that launched her to greatness. But here is what I want you to understand about Jessica's story. Her success was not about overcoming her disability. Her success was about understanding that her disability was actually her ability in disguise. The resistance she faced was not her enemy. The resistance was her trainer. The challenge that made everything harder was the same challenge that made her stronger than everyone who never had to face such opposition. This is the Academy of Achievers. This is where champions are made. Not in comfort, but in conflict. Not in ease, but in adversity. Not when everything is going right, but when everything seems to be going wrong. The Academy of Achievers is not a place you choose to attend. It is a place where life enrolls you without asking your permission. Every great story has a villain. Every hero has an enemy. Every champion has opposition. But what most people never realize is that the villain in your story is not there to destroy you. The villain is there to develop you. The enemy is not there to defeat you. The enemy is there to strengthen you. The opposition is not there to stop you. The opposition is there to prepare you for the moment when you will need that strength. You cannot have a testimony without a test. You cannot have a message without a mess. You cannot have a victory without a battle. The very thing you are fighting against today is creating the strength you will need for tomorrow. The very problem you want to eliminate is developing the solution you will provide to others. But there is something you must understand. The Academy of Achievers has a graduation requirement. You cannot graduate by avoiding the curriculum. You cannot pass by skipping the hard classes. You cannot get your degree by taking shortcuts. You must go through the process. You must embrace the struggle. You must welcome the resistance. Most people fail in the Academy of Achievers, not because they lack ability. They fail because they have the wrong attitude toward adversity. They see problems as punishments instead of promotions. They see obstacles as roadblocks instead of building blocks. They see challenges as curses instead of courses designed to teach them what they need to know. When you change your perspective on your problems, you change your power over your problems. When you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as a student in the Academy of Achievers, everything transforms. Your pain becomes your professor. Your struggle becomes your curriculum. Your opposition becomes your opportunity. The same pressure that breaks glass forges steel. The same heat that melts wax hardens clay. The same storm that destroys weak trees makes strong trees grow deeper roots. The difference is not the pressure, the heat, or the storm. The difference is what the pressure, heat, and storm are working on. You are not glass, you are steel. You are not wax, you are clay. You are not a weak tree, you are a strong tree. The very forces that would destroy weaker materials are the forces that make you stronger. The very circumstances that would defeat weaker people are the circumstances that develop your character, build your capacity, and prepare you for your destiny. Stop asking why this is happening to you. Start asking what this is preparing you for. Stop focusing on what you are going through. Start focusing on what you are growing through. Stop proclaiming about your enrollment in the Academy of Achievers. Start studying the curriculum. Start embracing the process. Start understanding that every assignment, no matter how difficult, is designed to prepare you for the life you are meant to live. The resistance you feel is not random. The opposition you face is not accidental. The pressure you are under is not punishment. You are in training. You are in preparation. You are being developed for something greater than you have ever imagined. The monster that your hard times are building is not a creature of destruction. It is a force of transformation, ready to change not only your life, but the lives of everyone you will touch along the way. Deep beneath the ocean, in the quiet darkness where most people never venture, something miraculous happens every single day. An oyster, one of the most defenseless creatures in the sea, encounters irritation. A grain of sand, a piece of debris, something foreign enters its shell and causes discomfort. The oyster has two choices. It can reject the irritation and try to expel it, or it can embrace the irritation and transform it. When the oyster chooses transformation over rejection, it begins to coat that irritating grain with layer after layer of a substance called nacre. Day after day, month after month, year after year, the oyster continues this process until something extraordinary emerges. That irritation, that thing that caused pain and discomfort, becomes a pearl, one of the most beautiful and valuable treasures in the world. What the oyster teaches us is this: your greatest treasures will come from your greatest irritations. Your most valuable assets will emerge from your most painful experiences. Your biggest breakthroughs will birth from your biggest breakdowns. You are not just going through hard times, you are going through the manufacturing plant of magnitude, where ordinary people become extraordinary and where victims become victors. The manufacturing plant of magnitude operates on a simple but powerful principle. What irritates you is what educates you. What frustrates you is what elevates you. What breaks you is what makes you. But you must understand the process. You must embrace the irritation instead of rejecting it. You must coat your pain with purpose instead of covering it with bitterness. You must choose transformation over transportation. Most people, when they encounter the grain of sand in their life, spend all their energy trying to get rid of it. They complain about it. They blame others for it. They ask why it happened to them. They pray for it to go away. They look for shortcuts around it. They seek sympathy for it. But while they are fighting the irritation, they miss the opportunity for transformation. While they are focused on their pain, they miss the potential for their pearl. Let me tell you about Antonio Vasquez. 10 years ago, Antonio had everything he thought he wanted. He owned a successful construction company with over 50 employees. He had a beautiful home, luxury cars, and a bank account that allowed him to live without financial worry. But Antonio also had a business partner, someone he had trusted since childhood, someone he considered closer than a brother. One morning, Antonio arrived at his office to find it empty. His partner had disappeared overnight, taking with him every penny from their business accounts. Worse than that,
Antonio discovered that his partner had been using the company to secure loans that Antonio knew nothing about. Loans that made Antonio personally responsible for over $2 million in debt he had never agreed to take on. Within 60 days, Antonio lost everything. His business was shut down. His home was foreclosed. His cars were repossessed. His employees, people who had depended on him for their livelihood, had to find new jobs. Antonio went from being a successful businessman to sleeping on his sister's couch, wondering how he would pay for his next meal. For the first 3 months, Antonio was consumed with bitterness. He spent his days trying to track down his former partner. He spent his nights planning revenge. He hired lawyers he could not afford to try to recover money that was already gone. He was so focused on the irritation, so obsessed with the grain of sand that had entered his life, that he could not see the pearl that was waiting to be formed.
But something happened in month 4 that changed everything. Antonio was sitting in a coffee shop using their free internet to search for jobs when he overheard a conversation at the next table. A woman was telling her friend about how she had been cheated by a contractor who had taken her money and disappeared without completing the work on her home. As Antonio listened, he realized that his experience, as painful as it was, had given him insight into something valuable. He understood the construction industry from both sides now. He knew how contractors could take advantage of customers, and he knew how customers could protect themselves. Antonio approached the woman and offered to help her finish her project at cost, just to rebuild his reputation. That one conversation led to another project, then another, then another. But this time, Antonio was building something different. He was not just building a construction company, he was building a company based on trust, transparency, and protection for both contractors and customers. Antonio created a business model that was revolutionary in his industry. He developed contracts that protected customers from being cheated. He created payment systems that ensured contractors were paid fairly for their work. He built a reputation management system that held everyone accountable for their performance. Within 5 years, Antonio had built a construction company that was 10 times larger than his original business. But the real pearl was not the money Antonio made. The real pearl was the thousands of families who were protected from being cheated because of the systems Antonio created. The real pearl was the hundreds of contractors who found honest work through Antonio's platform. The real pearl was the industry transformation that began with one man's willingness to turn his irritation into innovation. Antonio did not succeed despite his betrayal. Antonio succeeded because of his betrayal. The pain of being cheated gave him the passion to protect others. The experience of losing everything gave him the empathy to understand what his customers feared. The humiliation of failure gave him the hunger to create something better than he had ever built before. This is the power of perspective transformation. When you change how you see your situation, you change how your situation affects you. When you stop seeing your problems as punishments and start seeing them as raw materials for your pearl, everything changes. When you stop asking why me and start asking what now, you move from victim to victor, from breakdown to breakthrough, from irritation to innovation. Your current struggle is not your final chapter. Your present pain is not your permanent condition. Your temporary setback is not your lasting identity. You are in the manufacturing plant of magnitude, and something beautiful is being created from something painful. Your mess is becoming your message. Your test is becoming your testimony. Your wound is becoming your wisdom. The grain of sand in your life right now feels uncomfortable. It feels foreign. It feels wrong. You want it gone. You want relief. You want rescue. But what if that grain of sand is not your enemy? What if it is your opportunity? What if the very thing that is causing you pain today is the raw material for the pearl that will bring you prosperity tomorrow? Stop trying to remove the irritation. Start coating it with purpose. Stop fighting the process. Start embracing the possibility. Stop focusing on what is being taken from you. Start focusing on what is being created in you. You are not just going through hard times. You are going through the manufacturing process that will produce the masterpiece of your life. High in the mountains, where the air is thin and the winds are fierce, lives one of nature's most magnificent creatures, the eagle. But there comes a time in every eagle's life when it faces a choice that will determine whether it lives or dies. Around the age of 40, the eagle's talons become so long and curved that it can no longer grip its prey. Its beak becomes so thick and heavy that it can barely eat. Its feathers become so dense and matted that flying becomes almost impossible. The eagle has reached a crossroads. The eagle can choose to die, accepting that its best days are behind it, or it can choose something that seems like death but leads to life. The eagle can fly to the highest mountain peak, to a place where it will be completely alone and begin the most painful process of its existence. First, it must use its beak to bang against the rocks until the thick, heavy beak breaks off completely. Then it must wait for a new sharp beak to grow. Once the new beak is strong enough, the eagle must use it to pull out every single talon, one by one, waiting for new ones to grow. Finally, with its new beak and new talons, the eagle must pluck out every feather from its body and wait for a completely new coat of feathers to emerge. This process takes 150 days. 5 months of isolation, pain, and vulnerability. 5 months of looking like a creature that is dying when it is actually being reborn. 5 months of appearing weak when it is actually growing stronger. But when the process is complete, the eagle emerges with 30 more years of life ahead of it. 30 more years of soaring, hunting, and living at the peak of its potential. The eagle's renewal teaches us the ultimate truth about transformation. Sometimes what looks like an ending is actually a beginning. Sometimes what feels like death is actually rebirth. Sometimes what appears to be your worst moment is actually your greatest opportunity. You may be in your 150 days right now. You may feel like you are falling apart when you are actually being put back together. You may look like you are losing when you are actually being prepared to win at a level you never thought possible. This is your graduation ceremony, not from your struggles, but through your struggles, not around your challenges, but by means of your challenges. Not despite your hard times, but because of your hard times, you have been enrolled in the school of greatness, and now it is time to graduate. But graduation does not mean the end of learning. Graduation means you have learned enough to teach others. Graduation means you have gained enough strength to help others gain strength. Graduation means you have become the monster that your challenges were designed to create. What is a monster? A monster is not a creature of evil. A monster is a force of nature. A monster is something so powerful that it changes everything around it. A monster is something that cannot be stopped, cannot be defeated, cannot be contained. A monster is what you become when you stop running from your hard times and start running through them. Every day, people are watching you. They are watching to see how you handle pressure. They are watching to see how you respond to adversity. They are watching to see whether you become bitter or better, whether you become a victim or a victor, whether you break down or break through. Some of them are facing their own hard times and wondering if they can make it. Some of them are in their own 150 days and wondering if they will survive. They need to see that it is possible. They need to see that transformation is real. They need to see the monster that emerges when someone refuses to give up. You see, your hard times are not just about you. Your struggles are not just for your development. Your breakthrough is not just for your benefit. There are people whose lives will be changed because you refuse to quit during your difficult season. There are people whose hope will be restored because you chose faith over fear. There are people whose dreams will be revived because you proved that it is possible to rise from the ashes of failure. The compound effect of your growth through adversity is staggering. Every day that you choose courage over comfort, you are building strength that will serve you for the rest of your life. Every time you push through when you want to give up, you are developing resilience that no one can take from you. Every moment that you choose to see opportunity in your obstacles, you are creating a mindset that will attract success in every area of your life. But here is what most people never understand. The strength you gain from going through hard times is not just mental strength, it is not just emotional strength, it is not just spiritual strength, it is practical strength. It is the kind of strength that gives you the ability to solve problems that others cannot solve. It is the kind of strength that gives you the wisdom to make decisions that others cannot make. It is the kind of strength that gives you the courage to take risks that others cannot take. The business leader who has been through bankruptcy knows things about survival that the leader who has never faced failure cannot know. The parent who has raised a difficult child has skills in patience and problem solving that the parent of easy children has never had to develop. The student who has struggled to learn has developed study habits and determination that the naturally gifted student has never needed to create. Your current chapter is not your final story. The difficulties you are facing today are not your permanent reality. The struggles you are going through right now are not your lasting identity. You are being prepared for something greater than you have ever imagined. You are being equipped for opportunities that do not yet exist. You are being strengthened for battles that you have not yet been called to fight. Stop looking at your hard times as something to survive. Start looking at your hard times as something to thrive through. Stop seeing your challenges as roadblocks. Start seeing your challenges as stepping stones. Stop viewing your struggles as punishment. Start viewing your struggles as preparation for promotion. The monster that your hard times are building is not a creature that destroys. It is a force that creates. It creates solutions where others see only problems. It creates opportunities where others see only obstacles. It creates hope where others see only despair. It creates possibilities where others see only limitations. You have a choice to make right now. You can continue to see yourself as a victim of your circumstances, or you can recognize yourself as a student in the University of Greatness. You can continue to run from your hard times, or you can run through them with purpose and power. You can continue to ask why this is happening to you, or you can start asking what this is preparing you for. The time for complaining is over. The time for making excuses is finished. The time for waiting for someone to rescue you has ended. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your graduation ceremony. From ordinary to extraordinary, from victim to victor, from human to monster. Hard times build monsters. And you, my friend, are the monster your challenges were designed to create. Stop running from the process. Embrace it. Stop avoiding the pressure. Welcome it. Stop fearing the transformation. Trust it. Your breakthrough is not coming despite your breakdown. Your breakthrough is coming because of your breakdown. Graduate with honors. Graduate with strength. Graduate with the knowledge that nothing life throws at you can destroy the monster you have become.